Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Key diplomats appear to snub Haiti's interim leader. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Tuesday, 20th July 2021. Details when we return.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. A key group of international diplomats, including the Canadian ambassador, appeared to snub the interim leader of Haiti by urging the designated prime minister to form a government following the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. More in this CBS News item.
Haiti remains mired in uncertainty following the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. A key group of international diplomats seem to be snubbing the man currently running the country and urging other politicians to form a government. Laura McQuillan is following this story for us. Laura, Canadian diplomats are included in this group. What's the story here?
Right, Natalie. This group is called the Core Group. It's made up of envoys from Canada, other countries including the US, Brazil, the EU. It's got representatives from the UN in there as well. And they've joined together and put out a statement, which was reported by the AP and the Washington Post, declaring their support for the man who was named the next Prime Minister by Jovenel Moïse just 2 days before his death. Now, Ariel Henry, who you see on the left of your screen, is that man. He was due to be sworn in the day after Moïse was killed, but that didn't happen because of the turmoil now that Haiti is facing, and instead, the interim Prime Minister, Claude Joseph, who was due to leave office, is hanging on to power. In the statement from the Core Group, they go on to call for a consensual and inclusive government in Haiti, and they say to that end, they strongly encourage Ariel Henry to form a government. Now, they made no mention of Joseph in that statement, which is at odds with what its own members have been saying in recent times. We saw the UN envoy to Haiti come out the day after Moïse's assassination and say that Claude Joseph is the prime minister under the Haitian constitution and would stay so until there is an election, which is scheduled in September. We also saw the US State Department say it will continue to work with Claude Joseph because he is the prime minister of Haiti. So a change of tune just in the past day or so, and it's not entirely clear why that has happened. Though I reached out to Global Affairs Canada this morning, they came back to me with a statement in which they say that they're having conversations with Claude Joseph, the interim government, but also with Ariel Henry and other actors in Haiti regarding the political situation there. So they say they're talking with all sides. Then you have a representative of Canada come out with this statement on the other side. Not clear why Canada might be taking this tack at this point in time, but a lot to watch for in terms of the international situation and how other countries are focusing on Haiti's political situation right now, Natalie.
And as that is developing, where do things stand in terms of the investigation into the assassination of President Moïse?
Yeah, that's really ongoing, and there is not much in terms of answers about who may have been behind the assassination plot at this point in time. What we do know is that some 28 mercenaries are accused of being involved, and when I say mercenaries, these are people who allegedly include Haitian Americans, also former Colombian soldiers, some of whom may have trained with the US military. A number of people have been arrested, some were killed by police in Haiti as well. So a lot going on in terms of that investigation, and Claude Joseph, despite the timing of Moïse's assassination, saying he had nothing to do with it. That is something that a lot of people have been asking about. Just one other note for you, Moïse's widow arriving back into Haiti just in the past day. You see her there with an injured arm. She had been getting treatment in Florida after being wounded in the assassination, greeted at the airport by Claude Joseph, who remains Prime Minister for now, though the international community does seem to be turning away. All of this happening before Moise's funeral, set to take place on Friday.
Over in Guyana, the APNU-AFC Member of Parliament, Annette Ferguson, is making it clear that Joseph Harmon, the current leader of the opposition, enjoys the full confidence of the APNU-AFC opposition members. HGP's Wendell Badri has the details.
Badri, it is 31 of us minus 1, which is the opposition leader. So it's 30 of us. And I can safely say, and I speak here knowingly, that the 31 of us, myself and my other colleagues, we have full confidence in the leader of the opposition.
Ferguson made those comments during a telephone interview with Nightly News recently. The opposition members' comments follow reports that the Prime Minister of the country, Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, filed a motion of no confidence seeking to remove Harmon as the leader of the opposition. The Prime Minister's motion come on the heels of two motions which were also filed by Harmon sometime last week, seeking to remove government ministers Robeson Ben and Frank Anthony from office. Another section of the media reported on Tuesday that the Speaker of the National Assembly, Manzoor Nadir, is in receipt of those motions and are currently seeking the legal advice of the Minister of Legal Affairs, Anil Nandlal, on the matter, citing that the government's motion against Harmon, and I quote, may have implications with respect to the Constitution, end quote. According to Article 184 of the Constitution, in order for the opposition leader to be removed from his capacity, 1/3 of the non-governmental members need to present to the Speaker of the National Assembly their dissatisfaction with the leader of the opposition. 1/3 of the non-governmental members of the National Assembly would be equivalent to at least 10 persons who are not in favor of Joseph Harmon as the leader of the opposition. Currently, the APNU-AFC occupies 31 seats in the National Assembly, while one seat on the opposition benches is occupied by the current Deputy Speaker, Lennox Schumann, who is the leader of the Liberty and Justice Party, which was elected to the National Assembly through the joining of lists between three parties which contested the 2020 elections. Meanwhile, Ferguson is suggesting that the motion filed by the Prime Minister is in retaliation to the two motions filed by Harmon against the two ministers of government.
So I don't know what game the government trying to play here. So because we brought two motions against two sitting failed and incompetent and inept ministers, that gives you the authority to bring a motion against the leader of the opposition.
Ferguson asserted that it is the APNU-AFC opposition members who expressed their confidence in Harmon by electing him leader, and therefore it is up to those members to decide whether they want him removed or not.
It is not for the government to bring a no-confidence motion against the leader of the opposition. They have no business there. And as you rightfully put, the Constitution, Article 184, 183, very clear when it comes to the appointment or the election of or the selection of the opposition leader.
The Speaker was reportedly advised by the Clerk of the National Assembly, Sherlock Isaacs, to seek legal advice in the motion against Harmon. Reporting for the HGP Nightly News, Wendell Badri.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Anyone vaccinated against COVID-19 and is visiting St. Vincent and the Grenadines will no longer be allowed to quarantine at home. More in this Barbados Today news item.
Word of this from Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves as health officials prepare to implement a new COVID-19 protocols in the country.
And a big change is that we've started already. This idea of allowing people to go into quarantine at home we're going to discontinue that for a while, even though you're vaccinated, because you still, if you're vaccinated, you most countries you come from, you'll just be doing 2 days quarantine in the hotel. If you come from a very highly a very high risk country, you'd have to quarantine even with a vaccine for up to 7 days or more. And the very high risk countries would be Brazil, Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, Ecuador, South Africa, Suriname, Colombia, Belize, Guyana, Panama, India, Mexico, Argentina, Peru. You know, the names would be there. We were allowing people to go to their homes if everybody is vaccinated, or to go to a house where nobody else lives. But you're supposed to do that and give the information to the Health Services Subcommittee of NEMO 2 weeks before. But people just turning up. And they're creating a lot of problems.
And finally, on the international front,
regional governments will now only contribute 50% of the University of the West Indies operational costs. Details in this Barbados Today news item.
Vice Chancellor Professor Sir Hilary Beckles has assured that there is no intention to increase tuition fees as the university moves to generate more of the revenue it needs to maintain its operations. Addressing a virtual press conference on Thursday, Sir Hilary said that the days of governments being responsible for 80% of operational costs were at an end. He said that the change was part of plans to transform the UWI into a hybrid university with greater financial efficiency over the course of the next 5 years.
We have now decided to shift from a tradition decades old of deficit financing into a balanced budget approach. That we will now seek to have the governments and the University Council approve our budgets, and we will function within the parameters of those budgets. And so long as our investors, our governments especially, remain true to the budgets, that what they approve is what they invest, then we are going to be addressing the systemic deficit within our system in that way. The second fundamental decision we took was that we are going to be developing an entrepreneurial dimension to the university, a very aggressive commercial dimension to our university, self-financing approaches to our university. Now, the reason why this is important is because, on the one hand, we are a public university. We are a public developmental instrument of the people of the Caribbean. We are not driven by the profit motive. We are not a business enterprise, but we must be managed and we must conduct our affairs in a business-like fashion.
Sir Hilary again maintained that there were no plans to raise tuition fees, but admitted that the university would review the pricing of programs offered.
At the moment, our students are required to pay 20% of the costs of their academic programs. The model we are using is the 80-20 model. The governments are required to pay 80% of the costs to educate the citizens at the UWI. And so the students pay 20%. That 20% is called the tuition fee. The tuition fees of the universities at the moment amounts to about 15% of the university's overall cash income. So at the moment, the students, through paying their fees, contribute about 15% of the university's overall cash requirements. We do not intend to pursue a policy of increasing fees within the context of this pandemic and the challenges. However, what we do have to do is to look at how we price individual programs, how we price programs across faculties.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world, and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket, and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.